So our topic here today is finishing out our OEM-specific ADAS training. So this will be the last time I'll be doing this live. You can always watch the recording on the YouTube, but this will be the last live one, at least for the foreseeable future for this topic anyways. And our final OEM with this series is going to be Mazda. This was actually requested by someone. They wanted to see it, so here it is. Let's go through the different vehicles and do our usual let's take a look and see what they have for them. So first one's a 2021 CX-5. So it has 5 cameras. It's got the one up in the windshield, of course, for the lane keep, and then 4 around the outside for the 360 view. It's got 3 radars, 1 in the front for adaptive cruise and 2 in the back for blind spot monitoring, cross traffic alert, that sort of thing. And 8 ultrasonic sensors, 4 in the front, 4 in the back, and that is used for park assist. So the front camera, much like many other manufacturers, up there right above the rear view mirror in the center of the windshield there. So that's the camera module, simple connector. Now, in order to calibrate this camera, this is a static function. So need to do it with the correct aiming targets. And they tell you, the floor needs to be level. Target can't be on a different level than the vehicle. And it's got no slopes and things like that. You need to have, looks like 4-meter area in front of the car. So just be aware you will need a little bit of room to do this. Then they're going to want to find the center line on the vehicle. So you'll use, much like many other Asian manufacturers, they'll say use a plumb bob and a string and then draw some marks on the floor. And then we'll go through and draw a straight line through there, about 160 off. Oh, hold on. Am I not? Oh, I know what happened. Hold on. I don't think I'm sharing my screen, am I? No, I'm not. When my camera froze, it screwed everything up. All right, there we go. Is that what everybody's saying? All right, good. Are we back, Anthony? I think we're back. I think everything kind of crashed when my camera went off. All right. Should be good. All right. Let me go live up here just to double check. Man, we're just having technical difficulties tonight. All right, there we go. Should be working. Should be working. Okay, there we go. Okay, so let me just double check. Still no graphics. No, we're done. Okay, good. All right, so let me back up. Why not? Let's back it up a little bit. So I need to have a nice level floor. Need to make sure it's not on a different level than the other. Need to make sure there's no slopes. Need to make sure you have about a 4-meter square in front of the vehicle. And then, like I said, with the plumb bob, you need to run a center line with a string and a plumb bob and then mark that off on the floor. And then over here, we're going to have to draw that center line out to about 160 centimeters in front of the car, it looks like. And then, in this case, they tell you to print out targets. So I don't know how good your color printer is, if you got some good black. Obviously printers vary, but yes, you can, and in fact, take them, print them, and then tape them together. And it also says when taping the 2 target sheets together, affix the cellophane tape to the back of the target pattern, because otherwise it would be shiny, and we wouldn't want that. So you can print your own targets. We do make targets. Other companies make targets as well, but you can if you would like. And then it says put them on like a piece of wood or something like that, a wooden board which does not reflect light, to affix the target there. So something like that, tape it to it. And then you have your own makeshift targets. And then you want to make sure it is centered off that center line. And it needs to be a certain distance away from the vehicle that they don't give you a measurement on. And then you would go through and initiate with the scan tool, walking through the steps on how to do that with a static camera calibration. All right. From radar. That's going to be through the scan tool as well, and you're going to do the, where would it be? Cruise control, there it is. Smart brake support, Mazda radar cruise control, that's where it's going to be. And then special functions, of course, and then radar aiming. So set up the reflector and execution conditions. Refer to the workshop manual for details. So in this case, that'll also be a target, a different type of targets, like a pyramid, the side pyramid target. And by the position, by the what it says in the service information, and then it'll go through and it'll do a countdown and it will aim, and then when it's done, it's done. So it'll walk you through the process on how to do that. Blind spot in the rear is going to be similar. So it's going to be mounted in the on the rear of the vehicle on the corners. There's the little vents that go into the car for pressure release, and then it's blind spot monitoring left or right. So in this case, we went into left. Then you do functional tests, and then there's a radar aiming using reflectors. So that would be, once again, a static operation. This test is normally performed when the blind spot monitoring module with radar is removed or replaced. So even if you remove it and replace it without actually replacing the whole thing, you need to do it. Was it removed or replaced, or the bumper removed? Yes or no. Do not press the BSM off switch, so you need the blind spot monitoring switch on. Make sure there's no codes either. And then you can do right side or left side, or right and left side in a combination. It's going to have you cycle the key and then set the target as it says in the workshop manual, which we'll take a look here in a little bit. Also, don't press the throttle pedal, and then it'll go through and fire the radar at your target, and should get it pretty close to done. Front camera mounts up just behind the logo, the emblem on the front grille, and you can see it's got this plastic thing, kind of runs the wire through. So you need to use a flathead to pop a couple of them open. It's just some little clips, and it'll pull right out. In order to do that, that's called the view monitor camera. So we go in there, and there's a special function for that, for the 360-degree view monitor camera aiming. Vehicle needs to be empty of all occupants, and the cargo can only have a spare tire, jack, and tools. So basically how it rolled off the assembly line. Adjust each tire air pressure to the specified value. Make sure it's on running level. Move the vehicle to level ground. Correct front camera aiming cannot be done if the setting surface height and angle between the vehicle and target mark differ. Front camera aiming with the vehicle and target marker setting surface must be performed on level ground. Must be within 2 degrees front to back, right to left. Do not move or shake the vehicle. You want to do it outside the vehicle. You can't be sitting in the vehicle. Remove dust or dirt from the lens on all 4 cameras. Must be 9.5 to 15.5 volts. From the aiming adjustment on negative 22 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Either of those extremes, I probably wouldn't be wanting to go to work. Verify there are no 360 view monitor codes. If they're displayed, then you have to do the repairs first. And then we'll do setting marker by vehicle display monitor, all camera aiming, and individual aiming. So you can actually set the target stand using the vehicle display, or set the marker with it. We select which camera to adjust the marker positions. For the workshop manual, set the target, and we'll look at those targets in a little bit. So you can do front, rear, left, or right, and then you do them individually. Key on. Set the marker to be settled in red frames in the vehicle display monitor. After setting the marker, push OK. Continue setting marker for other cameras. Yes or no, you can continue with each individual camera, or if you just needed to do one, just do the one. And then please select which camera if you're going to do that. Always carry out this function in tire service recommended in the workshop manual, and then you would just pick a different one. Easy enough. Ultrasonic sensors around the front and rear of the vehicle. So this is going to have, they just clip into little clips in the bumper, much like many other manufacturers do. And then that'll be in the parking sensor module, but there's no resets, relearns. It's just code and data you need for that. It's just plug and play, and you're good to go. Next one's a 22CX9. That'll be very similar to the one we just looked at. Five cameras, one in the front for lane keep, for all the way around for 360 view. Rear radar for adaptive cruise and blind spot monitor, or one in the front. 8 ultrasonic sensors for park assist. So front camera is going to look very much the same. And that would be inside the forward sensing camera module. To do the radar, same thing. So that would be smart brake support, Mazda radar cruise control. Rear radar, it's going to be very similar. You see it's a slightly different picture, but it's on the kind of on the corner. It's got 3 bolts, and that's left or right. That's going to be the same exact procedure as the one we just looked at. Front camera for the 360, once again, mounts right underneath the emblem. And that would be your view monitor camera again. And then we have the ultrasonic sensor, and that would just clip into the bumper, and then parking sensor module, codes, and data. Last one we have is a 23CX30. This one does have a few more bells and whistles on it. It's a little bit newer model, and also some of the procedures have changed at this point. So 5 cameras, same deal, lane keep and 360 view. This one has 5 radars though. So it has 1 in the middle and the front for adaptive cruise, 2 in the rear for blind spot monitor, and 2 on the front corners for cross traffic alert. and then 8 ultrasonic sensors for park assist. So there's your forward sensing camera. Looks a little bit different. That one looks like fully centered up there. And we got a few different things in there. We'll see. But forward sensing camera is where we would go. That one's going to be the same procedure as the other two. Some of the other things are going to be a little bit different. So here's the 360 camera mounted in the bottom of the mirror. Got a couple screws. And that would be in the 360 view monitor camera. So that's a little bit different name, but it's going to be essentially the same thing. We'd go into special functions, 360 aiming, and then it's going to be pretty much the same exact procedure as the other vehicle. This will be all camera aiming or individual aiming. So it's slightly different menus, just because that's what the factory tool does. So you would just go through it like that. Front radar is right behind the emblem on this one. So you can see it's got a little bracket. And then it'll be, you'll notice on many newer cars that have like a big old emblem on the front. Oftentimes the radar is behind that, and oftentimes you'll notice that they're maybe a little thinner, somewhat transparent, maybe just like a smoked finish over it. That's to allow the radar waves to get through. If it's too thick or if it's the wrong kind of plastic, it won't work. Heard plenty of stories around through the grapevine. Oh yeah, I put an aftermarket grill on my vehicle and now my adaptive cruise control is freaking out. Yeah, because that grill was not designed to have the radar. Now I'd imagine some aftermarket manufacturers have gotten that figured out, but I know there's some out there that don't have it figured out, or maybe they just ordered the person ordered the wrong one. Could be. On that one's going to be front radar sensor and then special functions. And in this case, there's a dynamic option. So the other ones were static. It needed a target. On the newer, on the 23, it is a dynamic aiming procedure. So this is where I'm going to drive it down the road. Always carry out this function according to the entire service procedure as recommended in the workshop manual. Be careful that the tester doesn't disconnect from the vehicle. No other function is selected, so you can't back out while you're in the middle of doing it. Confirm that the PC or scan until battery is charged enough and cancel any sleep mode. This test may take approximately 15 minutes until aiming completion. For safety, the driver must pay attention to the road while driving and not watch the tester screen during this test. So you want to do this with a buddy. Yes. Key on, engine off. Must be on to perform this function. Make sure it's in range. Okay. And then it'll put it in dynamic aiming mode, and you'll drive the vehicle. Drive the vehicle under the following conditions for approximately 15 minutes until the complete is displayed is necessary to complete this dynamic aiming process. Must be 3 miles an hour or more. The acceleration speed must be 2.5 meters per second or less. Straight road with turning radius of 100 meters or more. Road with structures, guardrails, building signs. Driving the vehicle while matching the above conditions does not have to be continuous, but it will speed it up if it is. Refer to workshop manual for conditions which may cause dynamic aiming function to not complete successfully, so probably rain and snow. You want to have lots of targets for it to view. All right, front side radars on these are built into the bumper, as you can see on either corner. And that would be on the front side radar sensor left or right. Special functions. In this case, we chose the left front side radar sensor dynamic aiming on that one too. Gotta love the dynamic aiming. Always carry out this function according to the service procedure recommended in the workshop manual. And it's going to be very similar to that. Scanner portion of this process is complete. Vehicle is now in dynamic aiming mode. Carry out the aiming procedure according to the workshop manual. That's going to tell you how to drive it. It's a little bit different procedure. Pretty close though. Like the front other radar. And then you would watch the PID here. Dynamic aiming mode is complete when the aiming mode PID displays off. So it's going to say on while it's in the aiming mode, and then it'll keep on going until it's done, and it'll say off when it's done. Easy enough. Don't want to be watching that screen, they say, though, so you probably want to do it with a buddy. And then here we have the rear radars. So those are bolted onto the body themselves. You can see there's a little vents there, and there's the bumper beam. So on those, it's rear side radar left and right. Special functions, dynamic aiming on those as well. Carry out the function, puts it in dynamic aiming mode, same procedure. So if I needed to aim all my radars, it's going to give me pretty much the same procedure, which is nice. Okay, same deal. Needs to say off. All right, then we have the ultrasonic sensors. In this case, we got a bunch around the front there. You can see where they're mounted. They just clip in just like the others. That would be in the park assist unit, but once again, codes and data only. No functional test needed for that. All right, let's go live and take a look at a few more things that we haven't looked at yet. And we'll go from there. So we'll pull up the CX5 first, and they're going to go in here. Now, on many of our tools, like the Apollos, the Tritons, and the Zeus, there's going to have this quick menu here, the service resets and relearns. So if you have that available on your tool and you have current software, you can come down here, and this is any resets, relearns, bidirectional controls, functional tests that you might need to complete a job in whatever case. So in this case, we'll do replace or calibrate the front radar. And then we'll come in here, go to functional resets, and then it's going to pull up my radar aiming. So I can access the radar aiming from there. I don't need to figure out where it is, what module it's in. And also, if I have snap-on repair information, such as Shopkey or Mitchell, it'll link directly to it. It'll pull the vehicle through. It'll log me in. And it'll bring us to the wave radar unit. Yep, there it is. There we go. And then after repair information is going to tell us how to calibrate it. So there's our little pyramid looking thing. We use a tripod, plumb bob and a weight, or a plumb bob and a string. Tells you how to set up the ground, leveling line, draw some chalk lines on there. Here's how far away it needs to be. It's going to be very much like the camera, or you can just use like the true point that we have. And then once you go through the radar aiming procedure, follow the instructions on the screen. If it's unsuccessful, it'll give you an error code, and then you can figure out, what the problem might be. Improper target position, improper target angle, multiple targets, target moves, no target, vehicle condition malfunction. So it'll walk you through how you would need to do that, right? Pretty neat. Let's see if they got parts information for that. Let's see. Just labor. So remove and replace. That's 1.3 hours, looks like, radar unit. And 1.2 hours to align it. That's nice. Okay. That's the CX5. And then we'll go into the CX9. It's very similar on these. In this case, we'll do the blind spot monitor. So let's just pick the left one, first one. And we'll go to functional tests and then the radar tests right there. Normally performing the blind spot monitor module of the radar is removed or replaced. Now press the off switch, make sure there's no codes, and then you do left side, right side. So key on. This might give me an error here. Workshop manual set the target where it needs to go. You now have to press the throttle pedal, and then it's going to give me communication failure. However, you can always go into Shopkey and take a look at the, let's do a signature, I guess. Take a look at the procedure in Shopkey. We do have a quick link for the ADAS procedures on a vehicle. We'll go to blind spot sensor and then go to after repair. And that'll tell us, once again, it's the same radar target, which is nice. Don't need to buy multiple targets, but however, it's in the back of the vehicle. So we have the about an 11-foot distance from the vehicle and about 180 degrees, a little less in there, and then about 7 feet high. So that's the size of your beam out there. Anything inside that box is going to get hit with radar. And then the rest of the procedure is pretty much the same. Set it up, put it where it needs to be. Different points in the back, and it will reflect off of it. And then once again, you get an error message, it'll give you that as well. And then lastly, we're going to go into the CX30, right? Yeah. CX30, that's the newest one. And then that'll be our front side radar, because that's unique to this one. So front side radar. And that'll be the same thing, dynamic in this case. So yes, key on, engine off. And it's gonna, I think I hit the wrong button actually. Yes, continue, there we go. Puts it in dynamic mode, tells you how to drive it, and then keep going until it says off. Since we're in sim mode, it's just gonna go through and it is going to just cycle back and forth on to off, but that's how it's going to, you just wait till it goes to off. All right, we'll do premium, I guess. And then on this one, should have a front. Let's see, front blind spot sensor. And that should have dynamic sensor aiming. Front radar sensor and front side radar simultaneous aiming. Front radar sensor aiming procedure stores the installation angle of the front radar sensor by mid-drive aiming, which is performed by transitioning to the aiming mode and driving the vehicle for a predetermined time. Front side radar aiming procedure stores the installation angle of the front side radar by mid-drive aiming as well. Front radar and front side radar cannot be performed correctly if there's an object obstructing radar emissions in the front center, band emblem, or front bumper surface. So you need to make sure nothing's blocked. And then it's going to tell you what to do. You're going to go in with a scan tool, and then you're going to drive it about 15 minutes, and it's going to tell you exactly the information you need. And guess what? That's the same information that was in the scan tool because we took it right from here. So straight from Mazda, it's going to do that. Front side and rear side is going to tell you basically the same thing. On this case, you're going to drive it as well. And then front, just the side sensor, it's going to be the same thing, driving it. So you can do it as a combo, or you can do it all separate with the different aiming procedures with the radar. All right. So that is Mazda ADAS. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about next week. I also got a couple little things to talk about as well that I don't usually talk about. I got some conferences coming up that you could go to, so we'll talk about that here in a second. But next week, we're going to be going on LIN bus and new module initialization. It's kind of a two-for class since they're very closely related. But first half's on LIN bus, how it works and how to diagnose it. And the second half will be going through resets, relearns, calibrations, that sort of thing. So hopefully you'll join me again, same time as every week, 6 and 9 Eastern. Go to snapon.com/OT if you want to watch on Zoom. Otherwise, you can watch session 1 goes live to our YouTube channel, which we're doing right now. It's youtube.com/Snap-on Diagnostics. There's also a playlist for these showing up there. And then 9 p.m. Eastern goes live to Facebook. And then if you want to see any of the other topics in this series, like I said, we record it live every week. So intro to ADAS through LIN bus and new module initialization and everything in between. There's 131 episodes archived up there on the YouTube channel. They're all roughly half hour, 40 minutes long. Just kind of depends on the amount of content we have for that particular topic. So if you want to just check them out, want some more information, they're free, readily available. All right, I have confirmed myself on 3 different conferences so far this year, all training conferences, right? Did you know that we have training conferences throughout North America? Industry organizations put these together, and I'm going to be doing the same 2 classes at all of them. So, if you make it to one, it's going to be the same show every time. But I will be doing a hands-on lab scope class where we're shipping in a bunch of Zeus Plus, and you will get to go through that Zeus Plus. The one for Vision's already sold out because it's limited to 50 people, so that one sold out pretty quick. I've done it there for a few years, but that is live on a Zeus Plus, walking through a bunch of scope stuff for 3 hours. But the Vision show goes March 5th through 8th, Overland Park, Kansas. You can go to that website to learn more about that. First time this year doing the Florida Auto Care Alliance Accelerate Conference. So that's going to be a similar type vibe where you're going to be going and learning about things. It's a big training event. Lots of different trainers in the industry go to all these things. And that's April the 17th to 18th in Orlando, Florida, in Disney Springs, actually. So pretty excited about that because I'm going to bring the kids. And then April 29th through May 3rd in Hershey, Pennsylvania is the Mid-Atlantic Auto Care Association Tools Conference. So that's go to that website to check that out. Go to that website to check that out. And that's April 29th through May 3rd. All of these do have a cost associated with them, but I will be there teaching the same classes. So a hands-on Snap-on lab scope class and increasing efficiency through repeatable workflow. And I wrote that title. So it doesn't roll off the tongue very well, but that's what it's about, increasing efficiency by having a repeatable diagnostic workthrough for that. All right. Let's see. So, yep, a couple more slides and then we got questions. So do we have your email address? If we don't have your email address, then you'll definitely want to scan that QR code and get your email address entered into the system because you're missing out on some good information. Things like Tech Focus articles, SureTrack blogs, quick tips, new product releases. We did release 2 products last year. We're releasing more, I'm sure, in the future. And also they send out my class information whenever I'm going to be doing, or whatever my schedule is for the class. So click on that or scan that QR code. It'll bring you to a form you can fill out, and then you will get your email address added to the system, and you'll start getting this information. So good stuff. All right, time for questions. If you do have a question on Zoom, just use that Q&A button top or bottom of your screen. If you're on YouTube, use the live chat. So let's look at the Zoom. I got one here. Jay says, thanks for the class, even with the technical difficulties. You're very welcome. It was kind of wild. I turned on my camera and everything just locked up. So we're good. We got through it. We always do. Thanks for watching. And we got a couple people on the YouTube. So Money Mark Mess didn't see anything. That was before, and he said that's better once it got fixed. Thank you for telling me, because I didn't notice until that popped up on my YouTube screen. So let's see. Mike says, thanks for the class and upcoming meetups. Which Mazda ADAS calibrations can the Zeus Plus fully execute without OEM scan tools? As far as I know, all the ones that are needed for that. You may need the targets, right? Because that's always a thing when it's a static calibration. But you should be able to do pretty much anything you need to do ADAS-wise on a Mazda or pretty much any other brand we cover. We have some pretty darn good ADAS coverage, since we do make the True Point system as well. We manufacture our own targets to OEM specifications with that. And then I know the two teams have been working together too to make sure that everything is there that needs to be there. Because like the True Point might request the tests, we need to make sure that also exists on the scan tool, right? So if it's not there, it should be there, within the next update or two. So glad I could help there. You're very welcome, sir. All right, and with that, Edwin Ramirez says thank you, and J.L.E. Lobo says thank you. Hello, Mr. Lobo. Good to see you as always. So with that, I think we're done. So thank you. Thank you for joining our little class here. Hopefully you learned a few little tips and tricks about Mazda ADAS. Hopefully you'll join me next week for LIN bus and module initialization. With that, enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend. Have a nice night, and take care.